The shir is for the yortzeit of Esther Sarah Bas Dover, and also for the yortzeit Leila Nishmat Chaya Batya Bat Shimon Leib HaKohen, Leila Nishmatam, Elimelech ben Levi Yitzchak, and Tzvi Dov ben Chaim Pesach, Yitzchak ben Sarah, Devorah Bas Yitzchak, Leila Nishmat Avram ben Mordechai David, Reuven ben Shmuel, Shoshana bas Elchana, Yeshua ben Shmuel, Chana Golda bas Yisrael, Chaim ben Fega, Yaakov ben Yitzchak, Mordechai Netzach ben Rivka, Rachel bas Yosef, Eliezer ben Yaakov, Chaim ben Gedalia, Zamalei ben Moshe, Chaim Elio ben Yosef Moshe, Amichai ben Yaakov, Gedalia ben Tzvi Ruvain, Leila Nishmatam. And this week we get to Torah. We get to Torah, and the Torah tells us that Luchot Even Ketuvim Be'etzba Lehim. These tablets of stones that God gave us was written with the finger of God. V'hamichtav michtav Elehim. And it says that the writing was the writing of God. The question is, which writing was it? Was Cecil B. DeMille right? You see that? Or was he right or what? Which writing that God used to write the Ten Commandments? You see the papers in front of you. There are two different scripts. Do you have both papers? Yes. Both papers, right? So which script did God use to write the Ten Commandments? Is Charlton Heston correct? Or the Torah that we have today? Now, the movie The Ten Commandments, right? The book is much better than the movie. In fact, the book is so good that I literally worship the author.
Who said this?
I did. Okay, so let's take a look at the Talmudic passage in front of you. You have the Talmudic passage in front of you. On the other side of the chart. There's a Talmudic passage on the other side of the chart. Do you have that? Where it says Mar Zutra said. You see it says Mar Zutra? Mar Zutra said. You have that?
Yes.
The Torah was given to Israel in Ksav Ivri, which is the ancient squiggly Hebrew script, and in the Holy Tongue. It was presented to them again in the days of Ezra in Ksav Ashurit, the Ashuri script, which is our script, and in the Aramaic language, the language of the Targum, which was language spoken by the Jewish people during the Babylonian exile. The Jewish people chose for themselves the Ashuri script and the Holy Tongue, and left the Hebrew script, the original Hebrew script, for the mundane people. Who are the mundane people? Rav Chizda said the Cushites. Who are the Cushites? The Good Samaritans. Now, what is the Hebrew script? Rav Chizda said, Lubunai. Rashi says it's a Osios Gedolot. Rabbeinu Tam says, Ksav Mishuneh. Ksav Mishuneh means it's a strange script. So this is a fascinating Talmudic passage, which is very problematic. Very problematic because, according to this Gemara, the script that we have in our Torah is different than what God gave the Ten Commandments. It looks like Cecil B. DeMille was correct. So why did we change it, and what's it all about? What's going on over here? What's going on over here, right? So according to this Gemara, the tablets containing the Ten Commandments were inscribed in a script other than our Hebrew script. It would mean that the script that we now have in the Torah is different than the original script, and that we discarded the script which God conveyed His holy word on Shavuos. Isn't that bizarre that we would do away with God's original script, even though it looks like unreadable to us? But according to the Talmud, Elisheva, that was God's original script. And the Talmud seems to be saying that we did away with it and we replaced it with what? with the script that we have now. Very strange. How dare we replace God's original Alef Bet with the script that we have today? What's going on? What's going on? It seems, Sharon, that Cecil B. DeMille did his homework and he got it right. I can't read this, can you? Anochi, yeah? He did his homework. Cecil B. DeMille, he did his homework really good. But Alfie, the $64 question is, why did Ezra change the script to our script that we have today? What right did he have to do that? To do away with God's own handwriting? What's it all about? Now, very problematic. So the script that we now have in the Torah is different than the original script that God gave the Ten Commandments on Shavuos. Very difficult. Many reasons. The Talmud speaks of God attaching crowns to the sacred letters and explaining to Moshe that mounds of halachos are on these crowns. But if you take a look at the original God script, there are no crowns here. Are there crowns here? No. Only Ark Sav Ashuris has these crowns, not the ancient Hebrew script. So what is the Talmud in Menachah saying? That Moses saw God attaching crowns to the Hebrew letters of Ten Commandments. The ancient Hebrew script has no crowns. Crowns are only found, Elisheva, in our script. So to confuse me even more, number two, can it be that the very script in which God himself engraved the Ten Commandments was cast aside by us and given to the Good Samaritans? Now, if you go to the Good Samaritans on Har Gerizim, you'll see that their Torah scroll, Alfie, their Torah scroll is written, Chana, you have a copy? In this handwriting. So isn't it bizarre that the very script that God himself used to engrave the Ten Commandments was cast aside by us and given to the Good Samaritans on Har Gerizim? Golda, very bizarre, to say the least. The third question is, Rav Chizda teaches that the mem and the samach of the tablets remained in place only through a miracle, because the middle sections of the mem and the samach remained suspended in midair. But in ancient Hebrew, however, the mem and the samach are not circular enclosed letters, as they are in Ksav Ashuris. The ancient Hebrew letters, if you take a look at the chart, if you turn over the paper with the chart, the ancient Hebrew letters that are completely enclosed is what? An ayin. Alfie, the ancient Hebrew letter, an ayin, is written as an O. And the Dalet looks like a triangle. I'm talking about this sheet. I'm talking about this sheet. Right. I'm talking about that in the ancient script, the only letter that's round is the ayin. See, the ayin looks like a circle? That's from the ancient Hebrew script. But the Talmud is saying, what? That the mem and the samach were suspended in midair. That could only be in our script. It can't be in the ancient Hebrew script, because in the ancient Hebrew script, only the samach and the dalid are what? Circular. The samach looks like a circle, and the dalid looks like a triangle. You see? Dalid looks like a triangle. Right?
Tet is a circle with an X in it.
What?
Tet
Yeah.
is a circle with
But
an X.
not the mem and the samach. Not the mem and the samach, right? So I'm really totally confused, right? Right? What? In the ancient Hebrew script, the ayin is written like a circle, right? So that's completely what? Encircled. But the mem and the samach in the ancient Hebrew script are not circular enclosed letters, as they are in our Ksav Ashurit. Right? And the question is, how could the Talmud say that the Mem and the Samach were suspended in the Ten Commandments when the Mem and the Samach in the ancient Hebrew script were not circular letters? There's no miracle to be suspended. Right?
When the letters went completely through?
Yes, they went completely true. True and right? Right, completely through, right? So, again, the 22 sacred letters of our Alef Bet are full of mystical meanings. Can it be that all of these teachings were absent from the Jewish people during the period from Matan Torah till Ezra? Ezra made up our script with the crowns. How could it be? The Talmud says that Moses saw God attaching crowns to the Hebrew letters. Crowns on the Hebrew letters, Elisheva, is only in our script. On the ancient Hebrew script, there are no crowns. So I'm very confused over here, right? Very confused. To make the matters even more confusing, the Talmud in Sanhedrin 21 and 22 goes on to say that Rabbi Yossi holds that Ezra introduced this new script, authorized to do so by a pasuk in Devarim. The Torah says in Devarim, "V'kosav lo et Mishneh HaTorah." He shall write the Mishnah HaTorah. So the Gemara in Sanhedrin 22 says, Mishnah HaTorah ksav shehoya b'mei Moshe nishtaneh. That the ksav in Moshe's time, the writing in Moshe's time is going to be changed al yedei Ezra into a new handwriting. Ksav haroya lishtanot. So in Devarim 17, the Torah is called Mishnah Torah, and the oral Torah says it's called Mishnah Torah. Mishnah from the word nishtaneh. What does nishtaneh mean? Change. That there'll come a time when Ezra will what? Change the alphabet to our alphabet. The question is why? Why did God have to change the alphabet? What's the purpose?
To go with the crown.
Now Ezra lived in the days of Megillat Esther. Now remember, the Talmud tells us, it says in the Megillah, Kimu ha-Yehudim, Kimu ma-she kiblu kvar. In the days of Ezra, in the days of Mordechai and Esther, Alfie, there was a new Kabbalah Satorah. The Jews accepted the Torah again. This time they weren't forced, like the first time, when it was a shotgun wedding. This time the Jews accepted what? The Torah willingly. So, the Talmud is saying, to symbolize this new voluntary Kabbalah Satorah under Ezra, we received what? A new script. Because the first time was a shotgun wedding. God held a mountain over our heads, and he said, if you don't say I do, it's all over. But under Ezra and Mordechai and Esther, to celebrate the miracle of Purim, the Talmud in Shabbos tells us there was a new Kabbalah Satorah. So to celebrate the new Kabbalah Satorah, Ezra the Navi was authorized to what? Change the script. A new Kabbalah Satorah, therefore there was what? A new script. Okay? Therefore there was a new script. That's one explanation, right? That's Rabbi Yehuda's opinion. Rabbi Yehuda Anasi holds, no, 2 Jews, 3 opinions. He holds that our Ashura script, our square script with the crowns, was the original sacred script given in the Torah and that remained with us for many centuries. But towards the end of Bayis Rishon, the people began to sin with idolatry, and therefore it brought the exile. When the destruction happened, the people were no longer worthy to use our Ksav Ashiris with its great Kedusha. As a result, says Rabbi Yehuda Nasi, God caused Israel to forget this noble script and therefore to invent the mundane Ksav ancient Hebrew script. Now, why is it called Ksav Ashuris? According to Rabbi Yehuda Nasi, he says it doesn't mean it came from Assyria. It's Ksav Ashuris, says the Rambam, from the word Ashrei. What does Ashrei mean, Yehuda? Praise and fortunate. It is the exalted script. So according to Rabbi, the original Torah was written not the way Cecil B. DeMille has it, but the way we have it in what? In our Torah. So I'm really mixed up. What's going on over here? Okay, so according to the Rambam and Rabbi, the Torah was given originally not the way you see Charlton Heston has it, but the way we have it in our Sefer Torah. So where did this come in? What's it all about? So, we know that when two rabbis disagree, they're both right. You know, this husband and wife came to the rabbi quarreling. They can't get along. So the rabbi told the wife, you go first. So the wife said about her husband, you're no good. And the rabbi said, you know, you're right. Then he told the husband, it's your turn. What do you say about your wife? She's no good. So the rabbi said, you're also right. So the Rebbetzin said, Rabbi, how could she be right and he be right? They're contradicting him. So the rabbi told his Rebbetzin, you know what? You're also right. Moshe, everybody's right. So one rabbi said, this is the way that Cecil B. DeMille is right. The other rabbi says, forget about it. The way we have it is the way God gave it. So how do we straighten it out? Elu divrei Elohim chayim. So how do we get to the bottom of this mystery? Okay, who's right? How do we get to the bottom of this? Okay, so to get to the bottom of this, the answer is as follows: the Radvaz, the Rebbe of the Ari Kadosh, he lived to be 104 years old. The Rebbe of the Ari, right? Now he says that the answer to this problem, how both rabbis can be right, we got two sets of 10 commandments. Didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
Oh, Chana. So the Holy Radvaz says, when one rabbi says, this is the way God gave the 10 commandments, he's right. And when the other rabbi says, God gave the 10 commandments in our script, the Radvaz, the Rebbe Eri, says, Reb Nachum, that they're both right. How? The first tablets that God spoke on Shavuos, the first tablets were inscribed in our Ksav Ashurit. Not the way Cecil B. DeMille has it. The first tablets that was given on Shavuos, Alfie, that was written not in the Samaritan script, but in our exalted script. The word Ashurit from the word Ashrei, which means exalted. But after the Jews sinned, building the golden calf disco, the nation was no longer worthy of receiving the tablets written in Ksav Ashurit, in the exalted script from the original, right? Therefore, when God gave the second tablets to Israel, when? On Yom Kippur. Now, God spoke the first 10 commandments when? On Shavuos. When did he give it to Moses? What's 40 days after Shavuos, Sharona? Shiva Asar B'Tammuz. 40 days after Shavuos, you can check your calendar. 40 days after Shavuos, it happens to be what? Shiva Asar B'Tammuz. Now Moses came down with the 10 commandments. He saw the Jews dancing in the golden calf disco, and he broke the tablets. That's the original reason why we fast on Shiva Asar B'Tammuz. So the tablets that God gave on Shiva Asar B'Tammuz, that was written in our exalted, square, fancy crown script. But when the Jews worshiped the golden calf, and God gave the second tablets to Israel when? Yom Kippur. When God said Salachti, then he had inscribed it in Cecil B. DeMille's script. So that's the second 10 commandments. That was written in the Samaritan squiggly script. So this resolves the problems. Why? I'll tell it to you. Let me talk and then you'll ask. It's true that the original script of the first 10 commandments on Shavuos was our exalted, fancy, square script with the crowns. And therefore the Talmud says in Menachot, Moses saw God attaching crowns to the letters. That can't be here, because the Samaritan script, there ain't no crowns. That's the original 10 commandments that was given on Shavuos and brought down on Shivos B'Tammuz. That's the fancy script, and that was inscribed with the script that we have, and that was given to all generations, that began with Moshe and ended with Ezra. So in the first tablets, if you take a look at your chart, in the first tablets, the center of the Mem and the Samach were suspended miraculously, right? Our script, you see the Mem and the Samach, our script, that is what? Completely circular. It went through and through, and that was suspended miraculously. But the second 10 commandments, which was given on Yom Kippur, then God changed the script to this script. In the second 10 commandments, called the Sav Ivri, which was completely circular, the ayin. You see the ayin? It's a circle, Yehuda. The ayin is a circle, and also the dalit is a triangle.
But the tet looks like a circle.
What? The tet?
Yeah, the tet looks like a
Tet looks like a circle also?
With a square,
With
with
a
a cross
X
in
in
it.
it.
With a cross. Oh, don't say that word.
With an X.
X.
It's a best.
Okay. So are we on our road now? No. The original script was the square script that we have. That was given on Shavuos, brought down Shivos B'Tammuz. But when the Jews worshiped the golden calf, and God gave us a second 10 commandments, Yom Kippur, so then God changed the script to this squiggly script that doesn't have any what? Crowns on it, as a sign that we sinned with the golden calf. Yes? Question.
So when did we change it back to the original?
When did we change it back to the original, right?
Yes.
When did we change it back
Changed it back to the original.
to the original?
Second was the day.
What?
And when did it get changed
I
back?
thought when Ezra did it. We had it since Ezra?
We had the original script, but then after we sinned with the golden calf, God gave the second tablets, so we went to that squiggly script. Ezra brought it back. I'll sum it up, I'll tell you why.
So we've had
Right?
it since Ezra.
So according to Talmud Yerushalmi, that the first tablets of Shavuos was inscribed in our exalted Ksav Ashurit, the script that you see on your chart with all the crowns on it. You see the crowns the way we have it today, right? You have it?
Where's the crown?
Don't you see the crown on the gimel? You don't see a crown on the gimel, and the crown on the shin, and the crown on the tzadi, and the crown on the ayin,
Right.
and the crown on the vav, and the zayin. You don't see the crowns,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So that's the first original 10 commandments in our assurance. But after Israel sinned with the golden calf, disco, the nation was no longer worthy of receiving tablets written in the exalted Ksav Ashuris. The Rambam said the word Ashuris is from the word Ashrei, the exalted, beautiful, square crown script. Just as we could not receive the second tablet directly from God, the first tablets, God spoke to all of Israel on Shavuos morning, right? We all heard his voice speaking. The second tablets, he only spoke to whom? Holy Moses. So just like we were no longer able to hear God's voice in the second tablets, because we fell so far with the golden calf, so therefore, to symbolize our spiritual fall, God also, Sonia, changed the script to Charlton Heston script. I mean Cecil B. DeMille script, right? So therefore, when God gave the second tablets to Israel in this changed squiggly script, only Moshe was present to demonstrate the spiritual decline of the Jewish people. So therefore, God inscribed the second tablets in the Ksav Ivri, as you see Charlton Heston has it. The original script was Ashurit. Ashurit, our square, beautiful script that we have in our Sefer Torah. The exalted script, as the Rambam tells us, that the word Ashuris means exalted and fortunate. Ashuris comes from the word Ashrei, which means exalted and fortunate. So our Ashuris was the script on the first tablets. So the movie got it wrong, because he's coming down with the first tablets here. Or is he coming down with the second? I forgot already the movie, Alfie. So, right? So,
Then he broke them.
he broke them. Oh, okay. Now remember, he came down with, God gave us, he came down with 15. He dropped one. He said, here I have 15. Oops, 10 commandments. Oops, 15, 10. Well, so anyway, so our Ashuris is a script of the first tablet. That was transmitted to the leaders of all generations in a chain of tradition that began with Moshe and culminated with Ezra. Ezra retaught it again to all the Jewish people. According to this Gemara in Sanhedrin 22, the Jews had become so sinful that by the Churban of the Bayis Rishon, God caused us to forget the exalted script until Ezra retaught it, the Alef Bet of Ashuris. Yeah. Because when the Jewish people received the Torah again in the days of Ezra and Mordechai and Esther, so the Jewish people did such a great tshuva to celebrate the miracle of Purim, Chava, that Ezra was authorized to what? Bring back, didn't change, bring back the good old script. Bring back the original script, which is the script that we have. So only in the first tablets, the original Ashuris, the centers of the Mem, Sofit, and Samach suspended miraculously. Take a look at your sheets. The Mem and the Samach of the first tablets, right? The Mem and the Samach are suspended miraculously, right? But since the second tablets was inscribed in Ksav Ivri, the Mem and the Samach were totally different letters and were not suspended miraculously because there wasn't any need to. So on Shavuos morning, what did we receive? The 10 Commandments, not this way, but the way that we have it.
So he was wrong.
And 40 days later, Moses came down with Shivos Tammuz. The Jews worshipped the calf, and he broke it. When he got the second tablets on Yom Kippur, this is the way God gave it to him. Okay? This is the way. So, both rabbis are right. When the rabbis say that God gave us the Torah this way, and the other rabbi says God gave us the Torah the way we have it, Alfie, they're both right. Because they're speaking about what? Two different sets of 10 Commandments.
And it was Moses both times.
Right? The first set was written in the exalted script, but when the Jews sinned with the golden calf, God caused us to forget that exalted script, and he gave us the second 10 Commandments in this squiggly script. But then under Ezra and Mordechai and Esther, when the Jewish people kimu v'kiblu ha'Yehudim, there was a new Kabbalat Torah, this time not out of fear, but out of love. So to symbolize the new Kabbalat Torah, God authorized Ezra, who was a great prophet, to reintroduce Chava, the original Alef Bet that we have today, which is the crowns. So you see, when two rabbis disagree, Sharona, they're what? They're both right. So which way did God give it? Both ways. The first 10 Commandments in our script, the second 10 Commandments in Charlton Heston's script. So the movie got it right partially.
Just to mix up the date.
I just mixed up the date, right?
He did come down with these.
He did come on day, but that on Yom Kippur. On Yom Kippur. Now, 40 days from Shavuos to Shivos B'Tammuz. Alfie, why do you fast on Shivos B'Tammuz? Because that's when the Jews built the golden calf disco. That's 40 days after God spoke the Ten Commandments. Moses came down with the tablets. Not this way, but in our script. And he smashed it because we worshiped the golden calf. Then on Yom Kippur, God gave us a second set of Ten Commandments. And this time he gave it to us this way. Okay? But after the miracle of Purim, the Jewish people did tshuva. God authorized Ezra HaSofer to reintroduce the original Ksav Ashuri from the word Ashrei, which means what? Fortunate and exalted. So this resolves the problems. The original script of Kedusha was Ar Ashuris. It was the script of the first tablets given to Moshe Rabbeinu all the way to Ezra. But since the Jewish people sinned, they got the second set. Once the Jewish people did tshuva in the days of Ezra and Mordechai and Esther, so God told Ezra it's time to what? Reintroduce the original Ksav Ashuris the way that we have it. Yes, what's your question?
Was the exile to Babylon before Esther and Ezra or after?
The Esther miracle happened towards the end of the 70-year Babylonian exile.
You sure it's not?
Very good. Rashi says that the story of Purim took place towards the end of the 70-year Babylonian exile.
Yo, got a question.
Rashi Megillat Esther.
So how come Megillat Esther takes place in Shushan?
Purim, Babylon, Persia. They were merged, one kingdom. Persia, Babylon.
Hey, we learned something.
Right?
I came today.
Remember, the Persian Empire took over the Babylonian Empire. Right?
Yeah.
Remember the handwriting on the wall? That night, Belshazzar was assassinated, the king of Babylon. Who took over? Who took over? Darius. Darius and Cyrus, right? So the Persians took over the Babylonians. So the miracle of Purim happened towards the end of the Babylonian exile. In fact, who completed the second temple? Darius II, the son of Esther.
That is.
He's the one that authorized Ezra to complete the second temple. Darius II. Cyrus stopped. He died in the middle. Then Achashverosh took over, and he stopped the building. But Achashverosh died shortly after the Purim story. Darius was a little child. So Darius and Esther, they're the ones that authorized Ezra to complete the second temple.
Wow.
And the Jews did a tremendous tshuva, so therefore God authorized Ezra to bring back the good old script.
Wow.
Bring back the original script that we have today. But the Samaritans, the good Samaritans, I don't know how good they are, they continue to use this script. If you go to Mount Gerizim, you'll see that the Samaritans in their Sefer Torah, they continue to use this script.
They're not Jews.
They're not Jews.
They're plants, like
They're
Iranian.
They're Samaritans. I don't know how good Samaritans, Shomronim, but they continue to use this script. But we went back to the original Ksav Ashuris after the Tshuva Purim. Okay? Yes? Question? No questions.
Question back here.
Very clear,
Right?
very clear.
Do we have any record of what happened to the descendants of Darius II?
What happened to the what?
The descendants of Darius II.
Darius II was the son of Esther. Now, if you look in the book of Nehemiah and the book of Daniel, you'll see that Darius II, even though he was Jewish because his mother Esther was Jewish, didn't live like a Jew. He lived like his father, a drunken, immoral Persian emperor. But one thing he gave his mother, the second temple. But he did not live like a Jew. Can you imagine the most tragic heroine in Jewish history? I think is Esther. If people knew who Esther was, no little girl would want to dress up as Queen Esther on Purim. Married to Mordechai, taken against her will to be the queen of this pagan drunk, gives birth to a child who is Jewish, yet the child doesn't live as a Jew. This poor woman, Esther, had no Yiddish nachas. No nachas at all. And she said, Eli, Eli, lama zaftani. My God, why did you abandon me? That's Psalm 22, and that's written about Esther. I don't know if she ever got an answer, but all the prophets lived personal lives of tragedy. If you take a look, all of the prophets lived personal lives of tragedy. So, and she was the most tragic Jewish heroine. But her son, Darius II, even though he didn't live like a Jew, because of him, the second temple was completed, and he supported the Jewish Yishuv in Eretz Yisrael. Perhaps that's God's plan with Donald Trump. I don't know. But Donald Trump is not Jewish, but his daughter is. And Darius II was Jewish because his mother was Jewish.
It could happen.
We don't know. We don't know God's game plan. We don't know God's plan. So anyway, the crowns on the letters that Moses saw God attaching, that was the original 10 Commandments on the first tablets. But after we sinned, on Yom Kippur, God gave us the second tablets. It was this way, the squiggly script. But in the days of Ezra, to demonstrate our tshuva, of accepting the Torah again, lovingly, this time not out of fear but out of love, God authorized Ezra to go back to the original script, that is our Sefer Torah, called the Exalted Script. Now, if you count the letters in the 10 Commandments, Alfie, you'll get exactly 620. If you don't believe me, you can count. There's exactly 620 letters in the 10 Commandments, which is Gematria Keter. Keter in Hebrew means what? Crown. Kaf, Tov, Resh is Gematria how much?
620.
620. Why are there 620 letters in the 10 Commandments? So the Baal HaTurim says, there's 613 for us and 7 for the Goyim. 7 for the nations. Keep the 7, go to heaven. Therefore, the Torah was not given in Jerusalem. Alfie, there's a pasuk in Isaiah, Ki mitzion teitze Torah udvar Hashem Yerushalayim. The Torah shall come forth from where? Jerusalem. So why did God not give the Torah in Jerusalem? Because if God would have given the Torah in Jerusalem, I would think it's only for the Jewish people and only for the Holy Land. So he gave it dafke in a midbar. Midbar is a mokoim hefker, Alfie. How do you say that in English? It's an ownerless place. Right? It's a place that belongs to nobody and everybody. The Torah is not just for the Jewish people. Therefore, there's 620 letters in the 10 Commandments. Says the Baal HaTurim, 613 mitzvahs for us, and 7 mitzvot for the non-Jews. Keep the 7 and go to heaven. So the Torah is not just for the Jewish people. The 613 out of the 620 letters is for us. Each letter of the 10 Commandments represents what? A mitzvah. And the 7 extra letters represent the 7 Noahide laws. So the Torah was given not in Israel, because then it would think only for the Jewish people. Torah is given for all mankind. We forget that. So there's 7 extra letters. 613 mitzvahs for us, says Baal HaTurim. 7, keep the 7, go to heaven. And therefore, God tells Isaiah, Ki beisi beit tefillah yikore l'chol amim. Lillian, the Beis Hamikdash is only for us? No, look at Isaiah 45. God says, Ki beiti beit tefillah. My house is a house of prayer. Yikore l'chol amim. The Beis Hamikdash was and will be for the EU and the UN as well. Did you know that, Golda? Good thing you came today. Isaiah 45. God says, my house is a house of prayer. What does l'chol ha'amim mean? The United Nations.
That's what it says of the church in
United Nations.
Sherek Hesed.
We do our task by the Taryag, and the UN does their task. If they keep the 7, they'll go to heaven.
Mickey has a question.
Right?
Okay, I just want to say something.
Yes.
That Bendel Jones, the leader of the B'nai Noah, on his grave, because I went up a week ago.
Right.
It says he taught Torah to all the nations.
That was his tafkid. Right? His tafkid.
Michael Jones.
There's an amazing Rambam and Sefer HaMitzvot. Chana, can you tell this to your son, Yehuda? You look in the Rambam Sefer HaMitzvot. One of the mitzvot is Lahavta Rayacha Kamocha, to love your fellow Jew, Aaron. He is just like you. One of the mitzvot is to love your fellow Jew. He's just like you. And there's a mitzvah to love Hashem. We say in the Shema, you shall love Hashem your God. Says Rambam, how do we love Hashem our God? The Rambam says one way is to teach the Noachite religion. The Rambam in Sefer HaMitzvot says that one way that we express our love of Hashem is if we teach the Noachite laws to non-Jews. That's how we love Hashem. By sharing Him, Alfie, with the world. So the Rambam says if you teach Judaism to Jews, that's one way you're loving Hashem. If you teach the Noachite, their 7 Noachite laws, you're also loving Hashem. So every time you go to RabbiSprecher.com and you see the movie, The 7 Universal Laws of Mankind, what am I doing, Alfie? I'm loving the big boss. Who says that? The Rambam in Sefer HaMitzvot, under the mitzvah to love Hashem your God. So we have an obligation to teach the Noachite religion to non-Jews. We have to teach Judaism to Jews. And other religions say, Alfie, my way or the highway.
Yeah, they do.
All religions except the true religion says my way or the highway. Judaism says no. Judaism for Jews and Noachite religion for what? Noachite. The oldest religion of mankind, Benjamin, was not Judaism. Adam, Chava, Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov did not practice Judaism. What did they practice? Noachitism. That's the oldest religion of mankind. Keep the 7 and go to heaven. Now, what are the 7, Alfie? It's hard to remember. We have to keep the 613 to go to heaven. The non-Jews got it easy. Keep the 7, go to heaven. Now, what are the 7, Maddie? I'll give you a formula. Alef, Beis, Gimel, Dalet, big 3. Moshe, remember that? Alef, Beis, Gimel, Dalet, big 3. Aleph, Evim Menachai. A non-Jew is not allowed to eat the flesh of the blood of a living animal. So Wendell Jones would say he never knew that when he lived in Texas, they used to have calf fries. He didn't know. They used to castrate the bull and fry up the testicles. And that was a delicacy. He said he never knew that it's against the Noachide religion. Castrate the bull and eat the testicles, that's classic Evim Menachai. The animal's still alive. So a non-Jew can eat the meat and blood of an animal as long as the animal is what? Dead. You know, Genghis Khan, I learned this in school, when his army were invading and they ran out of water, their soldiers would stick a knife in the vein of a steed, of a horse, and as the blood spurted from the vein, they would drink the blood while the horse was still alive. I learned this in school. Genghis Khan, they ran out of water. They would stick a knife in the vein of their horse and drink the blood. That's Evim Menachai. A non-Jew can have a Bloody Mary, but the animal has to be dead. If the animal is alive, to eat the flesh and the blood of a living animal is a sin for a Noachide. That's Evim Menachai. Aleph. Bet Berchat Hashem, blasphemy. Non-Jews are forbidden to blaspheme God or the Jewish people. Gimel is Gezel. What does Gezel mean? Stealing, swindling, embezzlement. Non-Jew can't do that. Stiffing your customers or your workers. It's not so easy to be a frum goy. Gezel, stealing, cheating, lying on your income tax. That's against the Noachide religion. Dalid, Alef Bet Gimel Dalid. What's Dalid? Dinim. Non-Jews have to set up what? A court system. A humane, just court system with honest judges and a police force to enforce their Noachide religion. So Aleph is Erev and Achai, Birchat Hashem, Gezel Dinim. You got 4. What are the other 3? Avodah Zarah, Gili Arayot, Teshichas Damim. Non-Jews are not allowed to worship idols. Please open the window. Non-Jews are not allowed to worship idols. Right? Why pray to a dead Jew when you can pray to the living God, Alfie? Don't pray to a dead Jew. Pray to what? Living God. Okay? So non-Jews cannot worship idolatry, Trinity, whatever. Right? One true God. What else is there? Gili Arayot. Non-Jews cannot commit adultery, cannot commit bestiality, cannot commit homosexuality, lesbianism. That's against the Noachide religion. And Shvichas Damim, what does that mean?
Shedding blood.
Shedding blood, what does that mean? No murder, no abortion, killing me softly with words, killing me softly with words, killing me softly. Sonia, a non-Jew cannot speak Lashon Hara, because Lashon Hara is character assassination. Spilling someone's blood, not just physically, but by slandering him. In English, it's called character assassination. So being a frum goy is not so easy, Yehuda. Now, just like the 10 Commandments are not 10 Commandments. It never says 10 Commandments. You can't trust the movie. The book is much better. In fact, the book is so good that I literally worship the author. Where was I? There are no 10 Commandments. There are Seret HaDvarim. There are 10 topics. There are 10 topics which contain what? 613 laws. So the 7 Noachide laws are also 10 topics, which contain many. I just give you an example. The one on Gili Arayot, sexual immorality, that's Isser, adultery, incest, lesbianism, homosexuality, bestiality, that's all under Gili Arayot. And Shvichas Damim, murder, includes what? Abortion and character assassination. So just like the 10 Commandments are not 10 Commandments, there are 10 topic heads which contain 613. So the 7 Noachide laws are 7 topics which contain what? Many subcategories. The one under Dinim, Sharona, Dinim. Non-Jews have to set up a court system to make sure that the society is not cruel, have a humane, kind society. Soup kitchens, welfare system, that all falls under Alfie Dinim. And that was all spoken when God spoke the 10 Commandments. Therefore, the 10 Commandments are 620 letters, 613 for us, and 7 for the Noachide religion. Keep the 7 and go to heaven. So we have to know that it is our tafkid to teach the Noachide religion to non-Jews. So our mission, Elisheva, is 2-pronged. To teach Judaism to Jews, and to teach the Noachide religion to what?
To non-Jews.
Now, isn't it strange that the parsha that contains the 10 Commandments is named after a non-Jew? Isn't that strange? How come it's not called Parshas Moshe or Parshas Aaron? Why name the parsha of the 10 Commandments after a non-Jew? Isn't that strange? It's not strange. Judaism is not an exclusive club. Judaism is for anyone born Jewish and any non-Jew that sincerely wants to become a Torah true Jew. So therefore, the Parsha of the Ten Commandments is named after a Ger Tzedek. No, Yisro, don't mix me up. Parshat Yisro. Judaism is not a closed club. Anyone can join our club and become a Jew as long as he's sincere in observing Torah true Judaism. But he doesn't have to. He can keep the 7 and go to heaven. So therefore, the Parsha of Matan Torah is named after a non-Jew. And the book in the Bible that we read on Shavuos morning is also the book of what? Ruth. Also a non-Jew. Also a non-Jew. The Judaism is not an exclusive club. You know, Groucho Marx would say, Alfie, any club that would take me as a member, I would not want to join. Did he say that, I think?
Yeah, he did.
Groucho Marx? Never heard that? Club that would take...
We would have him as a member.
Right. But Judaism is not a closed club. You want to be like Yisro, you want to be like Ruth, you're welcome as long as you're sincere to accept Torah true Judaism. I have a bomb question from Bombland. Ruth is a very common name among us Jews. There's another great convert, Yitro. How come we don't name our children Yitro? Sonia, that's a bomb kasha. There's a parsha in the Torah, not only any parsha, the parsha of the Ten Commandments is named after Yisro, the non-Jew. Yet we do not name our children Yitro. And yet the name Ruth, the other convert, is very, very what? Popular. Makara, Makara. Sonia, you're beautiful. Sonia gave the answer. Ruth said, remember Naomi said, you can go back to Midian. A Moab, you can be a frum Jew in Borough Park too. She said, no, I must come with you to Eretz Yisrael. Yisro, what did Yisro say to Moshe? I have to go back to Midian. I could be a frum Jew in Teaneck also, or even in Crown Heights. Please hear me well. Therefore, we don't name our children after Yisro. He was a great Jew, a great righteous convert, but he didn't come to Pisgat Zev. I mean, Kiryat Moshe. I mean, Baka, Jerusalem. He didn't come to Israel. So therefore, we do not name our children Yisro. Please hear me well. The Pasha's Bahaloischa, where Yisro refuses to make Aliyah. He says, listen, Moses, I could be a Haredi rabbi where? In Flatbush. In Flatbush. I'm going back there. The very next Parsha, Maddie, is Parshas of the Meraglim. Now, when the two Parshas next door in the Torah, Elisheva, there has to be a strong connection. Why does the Parsha Bahaloischa, where Yisro refuses a few times to make Aliyah, I could be a frum Haredi Jew in Chutz La'aretz, and right after that, Shoshana, what do you have the Parsha? The Meraglim. Says the great Rav Soloveitchik, what's the connection? The Meraglim saw that this great man, this great convert to Judaism, says you can be a frum Jew in Chutz La'aretz as well. So it opened up a can of worms. The Meraglim said, if a great man like Yisro, who has a parsha in the Torah named after him, he can be a good Jew in Chutz La'aretz, so we can remain in Chutz La'aretz. The Mishnah says, Eze chacham haroet hanolad. What does that mean, Rabbi Yaakov? Who's a chacham? Who is wise? Who can foresee the consequence of his action. Yisro, you're a great man. People are watching you. What are you doing? You're rejecting the Holy Land? You opened up a can of worms. Now the Parsha of the Meraglim follows the Parsha of Yisroi. Kuwinky Dinky Yehuda, next door. Meraglim said, if a great man like Yisroi can be a Haredi Jew in Chutz La'aretz, then we don't have to go to Israel either. If it's good enough for him, it's good enough for us. And he caused that sin of the Meraglim inadvertently. And therefore, we do not name our children Jethro. Jethro. Remember Jethro, the hillbillies? Bodine. Jethro Bodine. But we do name our children Ruth, because Ruth said, I'm coming with you to the Holy Land. I can't be a complete Jew only here. That's what she said. So therefore, Ruth towers over Jethro. And therefore, until Rav Soloveitchik, the great Rav Soloveitchik, why we name our children Ruth and we don't name our children what? Yithro. Yithro. But he has a Parsha in the Torah named after him. Great people have to watch how they behave because they are being observed. And what they do and say, Elisheva has a trickle-down effect. Be great people, be very careful. The Mishnah says, Eze chacham haroeh et hanolad. Before you say or do anything, be aware, Alfie, of the consequences of your actions. And Yisroi led inadvertently to the Chet HaMeraglim, which we're still paying for. We're still paying for that. It's amazing. The Rambam says, for the sin of the golden calf, 3,000 Jews lost their lives. Yeah. For the sin of slandering and rejecting Eretz Yisrael, 600,000 Jews lost their lives. The proof is not in the pudding, in the numbers. Golden calf, only 3,000 Jews lost their lives. But for slandering and rejecting Pisgat Zev, the entire generation died. Unbelievable. And Yisroi, the great man that he was, did not foresee the negative, negative consequences of his behavior. Moshe pleads with him over and over again. Please come with us. Says, nah. So Rashi said, I have to go back to my mishpucha and to my real estate holdings. Look at Rashi. I can't leave my family. I can't leave my portfolio. Okay? Thank you very much. Chag Sameach. We meet on Thursday.